To hear what others think of the show, head over to facebook.com, official Loungtastic. And to see bonus episodes, become a premium member over at patreon.com/Loungtastic. That's patreon.com/Loungtastic.
Send me your location and focus on communication.
Loungtastic. Lounge it up.
Relax.
Awesome. Welcome to our fourth podcast. Today we're going to review the final episode of $1 Million Listing New York. And it was a good one. It was exciting. A lot happened on this season. It took a while for New York to pick up pace because season 2 through 3 was kind of boring. And then they brought it back with season 4. A few new surprises. And 5 was all right. And now we got season 6 going on. And I thought it was cool. It was cool seeing them do what they do.
Yeah, nice wrap up to the season. Very emotional. Came out with like a Luis reunion. They went to Paris and convinced the guy to come back to New York and do real estate again.
Exactly, yeah.
I didn't even know it was the finale when you first put on the episode, but I could just figure out right away. They were doing just enough reminiscing for me to be like, this definitely is a finale.
Definitely. So we start here. Ryan's driving, and he's acting like a cat in water, like he's never done this before.
Downtown anywhere is difficult, man.
Yeah, and Ryan's acting like, hey, if I don't have a driver, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to operate. What do I do? And then we've seen YouTube videos where road rage is funny. To me, it's one of those things where it was funny the first time, and I get the joke. I see what's happening. Like shouting at people. He's like, "Yo,
hey, you guy in the truck.
You in the vest.
You package guy."
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's like, "Watch your white ass."
Yeah, white ass. Watch your white ass load. It's true though, bro. Like, man, being from Chicago and I used to drive downtown a lot. Yo, that's a pain, bro. Some people, it's just like, what are you guys doing? Why are you slowing down? Why are you speeding up? Why are you turning? And then pedestrians are even the worst. It's like, I have to make a right turn, and the walk guy is no longer on the sign. Please wait until there's some time for you to cross the street, stuff like that. So driving downtown, hey, I relate. How's about that? I relate to my $1 million guy, Ryan, and his difficulty driving, especially since being someone who doesn't actually drive often. So you could understand him having some difficulty.
Oh, definitely.
I don't drive anymore. You still drive.
You should see me driving around Chicago. I'm like, okay, calm. All right, calm. And then it's like, I kind of turn into like a very focused taxi driver. Like,
at the end of the day, you just have to maintain your speed and stick in a lane, and that's it. Like, if you're jumping lanes and stuff, you're adding stress, adding a degree of difficulty to your driving. But he survived. Yeah, Ryan survived.
Definitely. So, Ryan's on the phone, and Frederick says, "Yee! You're invited to my 40th. You're invited to my 40th birthday party.
Destination birthday party."
And yeah, and Ryan's like, "Oh, where? You know, like 42nd Street?" And Frederick's like, "No.
We're going to Paris."
That's right. That's right. And he invites Steve to go to his launch party, which is interesting because
awesome.
Definitely.
When that's gonna come on. That was like such a cool party. I went to one of those before. Believe it or not.
A rooftop party?
Not a rooftop party. A launch party.
Oh, a launch of a location?
Yeah. It was this location on Oak and Michigan Avenue. So it was like on Michigan Avenue right before Lakeshore Drive. The place was huge. I forgot how many square foot. Sorry about that. But the place was going, like, it was a lease, like a $3.5 million a year lease, which was bananas. It was awesome, though. It was such a cool party. They had, like, violinists, a DJ. He was alright. The DJ was alright. The violinists were definitely more turned up than the DJ. Everyone was cool. Like, everyone was there to have a good time. A lot of people there, but I don't know how many of them were actually involved in real estate and how many of them were there for free wine.
Exactly. You always think about that, and you never know which people are there to possibly purchase the property.
And some people just are there for free gin.
Right. So Frederick comes on and he's saying that he's got a new strategy, and in order to actually gain a buyer for this property, he's talking about, I'm going to invite all these people. He's telling the guy, the main developer, he's going to have hundreds of people at this party. And in the next scene, we see Frederick say, well, the strategy I'm going to use is I'm going to cancel the whole thing. I'm like, what? He said, I'm going to cancel it. So I'm like, all right, what's he talking about here?
It's like that episode of South Park where Cartman buys the amusement park when he gets, like, inheritance money. He buys it because he doesn't want to wait in lines anymore. Stuff starts breaking down, and he has to start paying for maintenance. And they're like, well, the only way you can pay is if you let some people in. And because he was gaining such attraction because he was not letting people in, like, it started blowing up his business. And then he, like, ended up on the news as this, like, business mogul. And all these businesses started adopting the business practice of not letting people inside your store, like kicking people out and stuff. And it was really funny. So I guess Frederick took a page from Cartman's playbook.
Sounds like it.
He's like, I'm going to invite 100 people. I'm not going to invite anybody.
$1 million listing, New York ski. Let me be straight up. The first season of $1 Million Listing New York, I wasn't sure if I would catch the vibe, be into it, but around season 4, they picked back up with some interesting features and properties.
Yeah, from the last few episodes, I can see it being interesting. I can see it being a show. Oh, is that Fat Jew? Is that the Fat Jew?
It's a Fat Jew. How'd you know about him?
I know about the Fat Jew.
You know about the Fat Jew?
I'm on the internet.
I didn't know about him.
Yeah, I'm on the internet all the time.
Okay.
I don't follow him. I found out, like, when his book dropped.
Yeah.
I found out because someone tweeted his entire book.
Seemed like it'd be a short book, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it was basically a book about. It was a book about how he ended up making the book.
Okay.
It was like a book about how he, like,
You didn't buy
got
the
a
book,
publisher. No, I'm telling you, a Twitter account got created.
Okay. Yeah.
And tweeted out his entire book.
Wow.
And then, like, the same Twitter account ended up leaking a PDF to his entire book.
Ooh. And was that detrimental?
I don't know. I didn't read the PDF. Like, I read a little bit of it, and it was, like, it was entertaining because it was, like, one of those reads. It was literally like reading a People's Magazine.
Okay.
It was, like, reading. It was a very easy read. Like, the book was damn near written in stanzas. Like, it wasn't even written in paragraphs. Most of it was dialogue and shit. Right. So it was cool. Like, it was just about, like, the first chapter was just about, like, him finding out that his book is going to get published and doing drugs with his friends, and I'm like, all right, cool, and I just moved on with my day. I don't even know who he is. I didn't know who he is before that, to be quite honest with you. He just runs, like, an Instagram account where he, like, smut shames or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Don't take my word for it.
Slut or smut?
Regardless. How hard was he on the show? Like, a whole episode?
Yeah, he was on 1.5 episodes.
How was he to watch?
He was funny. He was alright. He had 1 or 2 funny jokes, and he tried too hard. He wasn't funny after his jokes.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's like an internet personality. He's not, like, made for television or whatever, but that's cool that he made it on there.
So Ryan Serhan is repeating a viral video on YouTube. Ryan Serhan is driving through traffic, shouting at people, "Hey, you in the sweater vest! Fuck you!" It was funny on Eurotrip. On this particular show, it's kind of repetitive. We've been through this. We've seen this before.
How often do they have driving sequences on the show?
Right.
That's a caddy, though. That caddy is nice, bro. Like, the leather on the steering wheel matches the leather on the seat, matches the leather on the door, matches the leather on the carpet.
Sure.
Matches the leather on the dashboard.
Yeah.
The whole thing matches, and it's made out of leather. That's a life. It's got to be nice to ride in something like that. I'm sure it's comfortable.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure it's comfortable, bro. More comfy than my favorite ride, my 9.6. I drove a car that was a year away from going out to get drinks with me.
So here we have Dr. Drew Pinsky is selling his condo. And Ryan's like, "Yo, bro, I'm downgrading this season because my therapist was like, you're doing too much, bro."
When did Ryan become best friends with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting?
I don't know, but this is like Taxi with Jimmy Fallon right here. Speaking of Jimmy Fallon hair, Steve Gold makes an appearance in...
We didn't catch any talk shows tonight.
It's Sunday night. They're not on.
They're not on.
No.
See, that shows you guys how much I know about popular culture.
And this will be just one for me, but every September marks the new release of my favorite $1 Million Listing season, $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. Got hooked on it, loved it, have seen every episode, saved it from my DVR.
What's so cool about it?
Love the guys. Well, Los Angeles is just such a cool area. Perfect temperature year-round. Just comfortable places to go, places to see. Actually, a lot of hiking spots. For me, I love the ocean, kind of like the California side. I mean, New York's got the ocean there, but...
that's the cold side of the ocean.
Yeah.
You think about it, man. Like, the whole East Coast isn't all, like, cold as shit. Like, you got the Carolinas.
Yeah.
You got the Virginias.
Right.
Georgia has a coast. And then the southern coast, west of Florida and stuff.
Right.
A lot of coastal area. I want to live in a coastal area.
I do too.
My dream place is somewhere coastal that's also a desert.
Portland.
Australia. Portland's, I guess, yeah, Portland, Oregon. Is that a coastal city?
No, I'm just saying desert because they say it's everything. It's a mountain. It's an ocean.
It's a desert.
Desert is not too far away.
Okay. Not bad. Yeah, it sounds nice. As long as it's somewhere in the U.S., like, I suppose. I don't know how much time I have longer in the U.S. I think, like, I have probably, 15 more years, and then I'm going to pack my bags and go to Canada.
Mexico. Oh, I was wrong.
Or Mexico. If Mexico gets its shit together in 15 years.
Get the drinking water together.
Yeah.
Looks like a Photoshop picture.
Yeah, right.
Lenny Kravitz is twice the size he really is. His hair and his head.
I think Lenny Kravitz really is 5'7", though.
Maybe he put on some pounds, though, because he looks big in that picture.
He's always been kind of bulky. He's a big dude.
Has he?
Yeah, he's just wide.
Okay.
As far as height goes, I don't know, but he is kind of wide.
Right.
Big guy. I don't know about Lenny Kravitz though. I have taken no interest in him. We gotta have a resident laptop guy look stuff up for us.
I do believe that Lenny Kravitz's wife is Latasha.
Yeah, we just need you
wanted one employee that knows how to operate a laptop, can look up random facts for us.
Yeah, complete our references for us.
Yeah.
It's important, dude. That guy would really help us out. It's hard to look shit up. I've noticed for a while now that it's getting impossibler to look stuff up on Google.
Impossibler.
To look stuff up, you really got to be exact. I was sitting around with my friends and we were trying to remember this science experiment that was done, and we didn't know what to look up. We didn't know how to look it up. So, if you are a person who is a fan of our podcast and wants to sit around with us in the studio and hook it up with facts, must have a laptop, hit us up. Do we have an email?
We will.
Alright, cool.
There with me.
Hit us up when we'll make an email.
Developer wants to know what the hell's going on with your listing here, Frederick. And Frederick's like, well, you have to give me a chance. I have to find the right one. The ones that are here were selected because they know...
The best of the best.
Exactly.
They're the best of the best. That was me kind of trying to do a Frederick voice.
Right on.
He has a weird accent. I don't think
I like her shirt there. She looks almost nude.
Yeah, I believe that's the color of the shirt.
When I first saw her, I thought she had her chest exposed because I only saw the black arms and I saw the mid part. And when you first see it, it looks like nude from top bottom. It looks like she's just all hanging out.
Yep. That's a good color, man.
A designer could explain that. It might have a word.
The name of the dang color is nude.
Hanging out with my nudes.
Oh, God.
Drew Pinsky is back on the scene.
You gotta try to get a jacket that looks like that lady's top.
I will try.
You know what I mean? Something made out of like tough leather or whatever it's called. I gotta get ready. I gotta get ready for fall. Get my fall styles out.
Steve, who has never owned a tie in his life, lets his bare
chest and chain.
Out.
Chest and gold chain.
And yeah, to let the ladies know I'm masculine, however modern, with a touch of douchiness. that can't be touched, that France has never seen before.
Yeah, right. Like France has
Hardworking,
never seen chest
yet-
hair before.
Hardworking yet refined.
Okay. I like that.
Matthew McConaughey style.
That's right. It's like Matthew McConaughey meets Ron Jeremy.
Meets Robin Williams chest hair. He was a hairy motherfucker.
And then, what's his name? Frederick just goes straight for the chest hair. Like, he's going to kemp his chest hair so it looks a little more presentable. Steve comes to the launch of the project and gets the developer's number and walks out. You switched up the whole dichotomy of the show now, dude. I had to switch seats.
Steve looks like he's inquisitive, and he's supposed to be there as support for Frederick, and now we see Steve as kind of snaking in on the developer, like, oh, lunch, a roast beef sandwich? I'd love to. I've got one on the north side. I got one on the west side. I've even got one in Soho.
Oh, roast beef sandwich developer.
He's muscling in on Frederick's territory there.
Yeah, he was just trying to make, he's also a businessman.
Like Steve said, you don't own him.
Yeah. The guy is also looking for opportunity.
But it is shady that Steve would accept an invitation to Paris, France.
Right.
They'd land there, and Steve would get off the plane, and he'd be like, yo, maybe you want to look at some of my stuff on my part of the city. I might know somebody that would buy your shit.
Yeah, that does come off as shady.
I want to give a shout out to Dr. Drew Pinsky here for being so forthright and stern and giving his advice, because a weaker man would have bowed down. But Dr. Drew, in this scene, you told him risk is good. This is what got me to where I'm at today, where I can afford business suits from Joseph Aboud, from the back of the room where it's the older gentleman section from the horse betting tracks. Is I believe the section that he buys his suits from.
Yo, I just didn't know when to start laughing, dude. That shit was so funny.
Yeah, you're laughing for the wrong reason. You're supposed to laugh with me, not at me.
No, right, that was good. Joseph A. Bank looking mother lovers.
Yeah. I might be right. There might be a horse betting section.
Yeah, he tells the guy, he's like, sometimes in life when you don't know what you want, you gotta take a risk. Which is cool. That's real ass life advice, but at the same time is like, what are you taking a risk for when you don't really know what's going on? Or that's not at Ryan's situation right now. Ryan's situation is the fact that he feels like that he is pressuring himself too much. I don't know what's going on with Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan went to his therapist, and his therapist said, well, you need to do some things that are uncomfortable to you. Get outside of your comfort zone. You're working on $1 million listings that are a little excessive right now. Maybe you're working too hard. How about if you just take $1 million listing like this guy had, a couple $1 million, and see what it does for you.
So he just tells him, basically Ryan is too stressed to be operating at the capacity which he normally is, or what?
He's working a little too hard.
That makes sense.
What do you think Ryan's technique is here on talking to him? We see the scene here where he's like, well, my name's Ryan, and I'm a badass, and this is the price, and that's just the end of the story. Bro.
My name's Ryan, and I do work, and do you want some work, or do you not want work? And the guy was like, call you back in 15 minutes. Because there ain't no way, man. You don't just tell somebody to fuck off unless you really don't want to do business with them again.
I remember calling people up and being like, this is the bottom line.
That's something. Setting the price on somebody is different from telling someone to eat shit.
When I was doing a private showing on that townhouse I had in Burr Ridge, everyone came up to me and was like, oh, are they desperate? Are they willing to lower the price a little bit? I always said, nah, bitch. Never.
That's convincing.
I said, no. I looked that realtor right in the eye. Because I remember a lot of them were like kind of trying to buddy me, like, hey, yo, are they desperate? What's going on here? Always dedicated to my sellers. husband and wife with a beautiful little girl. They were on their way back to India, but everything I could do for them before they left, I was there. That was me. That was the one final thing in America that I could offer them was the highest price on their townhome.
Good on you.
And it was hard because the other sellers were from Naperville, and you know Naperville is very cutthroat. At least I found out about the cutthroatedness of Naperville. And
I can see that.
yeah.
They were just, these people are going for sell while you're actually trying to provide the service for these people that it being their last experience in the country is like.
Right.
And you know what? Right before we left, we got the highest price. We got the price we wanted just because our real estate agent was like such a hard worker.
Yeah.
That's what's up, my man.
Yep.
That's how you provide a service for somebody that they feel good about coming out.
Ryan
That you
Serhart.
feel good about coming out.
Ryan Serhart. Come up swinging in the bottom of the ninth.
Yep.
Ryan Serhant was like, listen, motherfucker. And he literally said, motherfucker. Which doesn't violate any rules
No.
in real estate.
Except for the respect ones.
I didn't want to get into it too much, but I do remember I did take a trip to Paris, and I went there for the air show. Every 3 years, I want to say, Paris has an air show. It's called the Paris Air Show, if you can believe it. And they demonstrate all the new technologies, actually, of the entire world.
Wow.
They all converge in Paris at Le Bourget, and you get to see all the new designs of aircraft parts, anything in aerospace.
That's cool.
And there's an air show.
Yeah.
There's planes doing.
It's like
air
a
show.
World's Fair, but for aviation.
Exactly. And that's why I had to go there. I'm a big aviation buff. When it comes to planes, I've always been keeping an eye to the sky. Oh. You can do a Bobby now.
That's cool, man. How was that?
It's good. It's cool. They were doing things that you don't see at air shows in America. Careful, that will slam down.
All right.
Like if you go too far forward, this table slams down. Loungtastic Studios. It starts out as an apartment, and then we move our way into the swanky New York lifestyle.
That's right.
Into a penthouse.
I can't wait to be a bougie-ass New York.
We share our studio with Jay-Z,
Oh.
and he's out there in the waiting room waiting.
I think Jay-Z lives in Paris. I don't know.
And he literally said the words, "This is a great show, you know." I was...
You know, Lawrence, I gotta tell you, you crazy for this one. It's a great show.
I know I've been out here 40 minutes waiting for something to happen.
Jay-Z's gonna be a fan of Loungtastic podcast?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, why not?
He's going to invest. He's going to try to buy the company. But
Only if we
nope.
show him work ethic, because that's the only thing Jay-Z respects is
Cute little redhead.
his mindless work ethic. Yeah, the
Realtor.
Yep, that one realtor.
I guess it was the MapQuest days. It was 2006.
Oh, baby. Search that up on yahoo.com.
So, I've been to France a couple times. 2 times that I remember, Paris Air Show, and then we drove there one time. It was alright. We actually got lost in France, in the lower part of France.
Nice.
Because, I guess it was the MapQuest days. It was 2006. That's actually pretty cool, because I did have a printed map out. This is before GPS and Google Maps and World Maps, whatever you use. And we were able to sneak our way back into Germany, but I remember it being pretty stressful because there's nothing to see. Southern France is like Wyoming in
Wow.
a lot of parts. The main highway part of Wyoming.
Just
where you don't
wilderness?
see a lot. You just see desert. No, wilderness is cool. Nothing. Solemn emptiness on the plain is not interesting at all.
I'm going to go bring the globe. I want to see what's south of France.
Alright. Oh no! Man, fuck you guys! Like the only country that's blurred out.
Libya's more blurred out than Egypt, so I'm not all that
Not
offended.
even the ocean. It looks like I intentionally blurred it out. Fuck you!
Dude, Monaco, man. Monaco is south of France.
I gotta tell you guys that risk is not always the best answer. In real estate, it turned out to be.
By the ocean.
You always have some kind of tension when you're dealing with your own client. Ryan Serhant is trying to butter the grease of the butter pan.
That is.
There's nary a man I've met with better advice than Love Lines and MTV's Dr. Drew Pinsky.
Wow. Tells your boy to take the risk and bring home the bacon, and he listens to him. Oh, Frederick with the laser focus.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, that's focus as heck, dude. Like, he's out in France, like, to celebrate a birthday, and he makes 8 sales or 10 sales or something.
Good job, Fred.
Makes $1 million on vacation. That's what's up, bro.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He makes a cool mill.
Milling some change. It's probably like and a quarter mil. Like $1.25 million.
And we're led to believe that each sale is not going through, so it's like, okay, it's good, nope. Okay, it's good, nope. Last one, maybe, no.
Yeah, that he's fighting against the grain, but in reality, this guy is swimming
He knows
to
what
the
to sell.
money.
Frederick wrote the book on how to sell.
I like that.
Literally. And he named it The Sell by Frederick Eklund.
The art of the deal. This is the Steve and Frederick altercation.
Ooh, Lenny Kravitz. So what about that, says Lenny Kravitz? The marble?
Right. Truly, though, what about that does say Lenny Kravitz? Nothing.
The only thing comparable is the marble and the hair that Lenny got with the girls that were groupies. Maybe had a marble hair color, like slightly blonde, slightly brunette, a little bit of a mix.
Not much just to bring in, but he probably, like, is just getting started, you know? He doesn't want to do anything too outrageous in his first few takes as a designer, but eventually he'll find his own flavor to it.
Yeah.
I hope they bring back the Lenny Kravitz apartments. I'm just kidding. I don't know what they're going to do.
You ever checked out the Kravitz down on North Avenue in Chicago?
Is there?
Yeah, bro.
One day, right?
One day.
One day Lawrence is going to be selling the Lenny Kravitz apartments out here in Chicago.
Is it a Kravitz? Then I'm not interested in seeing it.
That's right. Unless I have to go to Paris to sell it, I don't want to hear about it.
Nice.
The Frederick and Steve altercation. Yeah, you're insane. I'm not insane. I'm sane. You're insane.
What is Steve going through in his personal life where he lashes out? He makes Frederick cry in this scene.
Yeah, bro. Frederick cries menthol tears.
Menthol tears.
Fake tears, you know?
Like crocodile tears?
Yeah, man. He just cries just to get Steve off his game because Steve is trying to pick at his coattails.
I mean, Steve goes from 0 to 100 how quick?
Pretty quickly. But, like, so does Frederick, man. Frederick starts, like, they both actually start raising their voice.
There is something pretty about that scene I like, but I love how the rain is in Paris. There's something really cool about that because it's kind of lit up and it's in the scene. Now we're back to the scene here. You can see in the background, I think it's raining a little bit and it just looks cool. If you look down the street and you see the rain falling, there's something very artistic about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a very old country and very old architecture and old infrastructure and stuff like that. And stuff like that's always appreciated because it does look nice, but
yeah.
I actually, like, I've kind of gotten over that pretty quickly. Old-looking stuff, especially, like, European architecture. It's nice, but it's from a time of yore before a lot of things really mattered. Not to underplay it, but it's kind of what I'm doing. I'm saying it's, like, really no big deal anymore. Because this is what happened is, like, you look into history and then you're like, wow, well, it's cool. But most of this stuff was inspired by things that came around before it.
He's like, what do you think about that, Frederick?
I'm going to go to that lunch. I'm not insane. I'm sane. You're insane.
You're the insane one. And Frederick's like, I will sit here and take it. I'm going to stand up and walk away.
That's Swedish as heck, my bro. That's good, man. And then Frederick gets up and walks away, and, like, in the most dramatic fashion, Steve's like, Frederick, wait.
I got a text.
They agreed to split the fees.
And Frederick's like, tell them to send in the deal.
And then walks away still.
As if they can send in the deal. He's like at a hotel room and they're just going to figure out what room he's in. Like, oh, just send it to Frederick's room in Paris.
Just tell them to send the mail pigeons.
That's one thing nobody thought about in post-production. He is really teary-eyed. He's like really just bawling.
Teary-eyed, bro. Snot.
Sniffy nose.
He's like keeps wiping his nose like the most freaking like loudest way. Like... like 4 different times he has to wipe away
poor little Freddy.
Too funny, bro.
Amelia with the little twinkle nose. She little twinkles her little nose, and Ryan knows what's up.
Yeah, Ryan.
The eyebrows go up, and Ryan's chain goes down, if you pay attention.
He's telling Amelia about his endeavor to acquire a quite large real estate firm, I would say.
Well, I would never know her emotions if you don't look at her eyebrows, because the rest of her face stays the same, and her eyebrows move.
Her eyebrows are in charge of emotion, affection.
And that's something she learned in law school is...
Hell yeah.
Don't give away your hand.
Poker face, baby.
He's like, I know you've been wanting to spend more time with me, but the solution to that might be for me to start my own business 24 hours a day. And she's like... And the weird thing about it is, she doesn't even think about it. She's just like, that sounds perfect. That's a perfect way for us to spend more time together.
It's not really what she says. She says, she's like, oh, well, that's going to make it harder for us to spend time together. What are we going to do? And he's like, oh, well, we're going to have to make time. But at the end of the day, she understands that he is a very professional person who's wrapped up in his business and he wants to keep expanding. And she's not going to stop him doing that. That's a supportive woman, man. That's a woman who's got his back. That's the Theodora to his Justinian.
Ooh.
For my histories out there. And you'll find time. I mean, you'll spend nights together, like 1 day a week or whatever. And then in like 25 years, when you guys are both billionaires, you retire in your 50s and you get to spend the next 50 years together.
Ooh.
Which is like how things are. It's not the best way because you guys, you know what I mean, missed out on raising a family and this and those. But regardless... You chose to be professionals. She looks like she's a very supportive wife.
She looks like she could keep a secret. As long as you didn't look at her eyebrows. They're doing some furly tricks right now.
Yeah, they're going like they're doing the worm.
Scotty too hottie work.
Scotty too hottie.
He's like, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh my goodness, bro. I think no one is more affected by... finale of Below Deck than Lawrence.
Gotta know what happens, man. And they're setting us up for season 7 now.
Oh baby.
I wasn't sure where they'd go with this, and they had about 5 seasons plus. They had 3 whole episodes dedicated to their wedding, and they called it the Ryan and Amelia wedding, and it got pretty interesting.
I didn't see that. Maybe we should put it on someday.
We'll put it on. We'll review it. I don't want to give it away, but they did do something really interesting according to the show lines. I actually wrote it down in my little notes here that I wanted us to think about what they're talking about when they said they were.
Wow, something really interesting. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, you're fine.
A person was wearing a hijab.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, it's illegal in Paris.
Is it illegal now, or has it been illegal for a while?
It's been illegal for a while, for a few years now.
Okay.
Yeah, Paris has a thing about secular religion, basically.
And that's a new thing, or that's been around for a while?
It's been around for, at least a year.
After the Paris attacks?
It's, a little even bit before that.
Okay.
They've been, pretty serious about, public displays of religion.
Wow.
Yeah, even nuns, a nun can't even walk around dressed up as a nun.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Even a nun.
Any type of head wrap, any type of, even, Hindu men.
Yeah.
Men that practice Hinduism.
Right.
They, wear...
a turban.
Of some sort. There's a name for it, which I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that's illegal in France.
Wow.
Yeah, you get fined and, I think you get jail time if it's serious.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I knew there was something up. When I saw that the first time, seeing someone walking around,
yeah, I noticed that too. Usually you get these people, and if there's one picture of a Muslim person online, you get commentary somebody's got to jump in and say something, and then the other person's like, no, boom, 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 and it starts something. And
a flame war.
That's one good thing I like about this show is they kind of just like the other show I like on Bravo, Below Deck. They show everything and that they possibly can,
right?
And it's up for discussion and it's not hidden. If you're watching Fox News, things are purported in a way where it's one-sided, and at least on this channel, you're kind of seeing
as much of it as you can.
As much, yeah.
As much as they can show, or as much as they want to show. You don't know how much they want to show.
On a personal level, I'm really happy the 3 guys met back up, and Luis.
Before we get to the Luis, what were you talking about? The Ryan and Malia.
Well, I don't want to give away too
what's
much.
Her name?
But they were house shopping in Greece.
Wow.
Like nice, swanky, amazing places in Greece, and if they're talking about buying a brokerage, that might discredit what they claim to have done.
Why is that?
Because
they want to move to Greece.
You can't do both. You can't really have a house in Greece
and run a brokerage in New York.
And run a brokerage in New York. Not the 24-hour one that Ryan would have to run.
Right on.
So, in a personal opinion, not sure exactly how much of it is for the show or how much of it is for real, but if Luis actually did move to Paris and live in that place, he is crazy. That's a nutty thing to do.
That's nuts.
That is pseudo-masochism, as they mentioned on here. I was thinking that same thing before. Like, you enjoyed the New York. See, he was stunned when he first. This is Luis. He was stunned when he first got to New York because that wasn't his safety zone. Puerto Rico was what he was used to.
Right.
And that nervousness grew into a love of New York, and he sold properties. And like me, he did a lot of rentals starting out here, which don't make a lot of money, but he worked his way up to some nice luxury places, and he was successful, and he said, you know what, I want to go back to how I felt before.
That nervous feeling.
Maybe it's like a nervous pleasure. You know, like how you drink Coca-Cola, you get a pain-pleasure sensation? I kind of think that's what Lewis was going for.
You know, dude, he could accomplish more if he decided to fight on a bigger stage or something.
Maybe. You might not be wrong.
Yeah, but then he goes to Paris and he actually doesn't like it apparently and has to go back to New York.
Yeah. Well, they told him he wouldn't like it, and he kind of knew it was the unknown, and that's what he was going for.
Well, he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the fuck he was doing. Now that's all he's left with.
And he's got tears in his eyes, and he's so sad that he may have made the wrong choice here. If you look at that place, it's all made up. Previous episodes have alluded to the fact that he's probably OCD, because he did have like 12 suits of all the same color lined up, perfectly spaced intervals, 12 inches apart. But then again, I want to lean more towards the side that apartment we see of Louise's, allegedly in Paris, that might be an Airbnb for the show.
Wow.
You know?
It's not his apartment?
I don't think that's his apartment. I think it was for the show.
That's one hell of an allegation.
All you have to do is do Airbnb, lock in the deal, and film. Just bring the cameras in.
Oh my goodness, Lawrence.
Bring in the sound crew.
But dude, what an allegation.
Yeah. No, I'll be yeah. So that was kind of funny. Ryan was like, "Oh, an empty wine bottle in the hallway."
That's probably Luis's apartment.
Yeah.
And it was Luis's apartment.
And it turned out to be the American.
He's like, "Hey, I knew this was your apartment." He's like, "How could you tell?" And he's like, no reason."
How could you tell? How did you know? Louise, it's me, Louise. Ryan's like, okay.
He was like, "My apartment number is the same one as the year of the French Revolution." He's like, Ryan being like a good old boy. I don't know when the freaking French Revolution was.
Let me tell you, in 1794, it was the revolution of the people who were fighting the other revolutionaries. Would you like a sip of beer? As in the people did in the 80s and 90s in Paris.
Good God.
We'll go back 20 years.
I don't know when the French Revolution is.
Original floors? Awesome!
That is pretty cool, isn't it?
I don't know what that means. It's kind of vague.
It means the original floors, like
Yep.
everything else was done.
Yeah.
And like if they had to redo the walls or whatever.
And they look good for original.
Yeah, they'd look great.
Here we got Frederick,
That cathedral is really famous, I think.
I think so. Oh, Notre Dame or something?
Maybe.
I think that's Notre Dame.
That's the one that they
Hunchback
killed.
lives in
yeah,
there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the one they killed him on.
Wow.
Did the Hunchback end up dying in that movie? No, he lived.
I don't want to give it away to our viewers who haven't seen it.
That haven't seen the Hunchback in Notre Dame?
Copyright 1996.
1966.
Frederick's like, I'm literally walking through hundreds of sellers right now. They're swarming over me.
They all want me. He's like, on his phone, screaming on his phone, like surrounded by birds and people. And I'm like, this man is out of his mind.
I remember in real estate class, they're like, that's business talk. You're allowed to puff if you like.
What does that mean?
Puffing is like when you're exaggerating. Like I could legally say under law, I could legally look out my window here and say this is the best view in all of Willowbrook. Wow. And if that's my opinion as a realtor, that's perfectly fine.
Fantastic.
Just like a car dealer could say, this is the best Hummer of all the Hummers in the world.
Right. This is the deal of the century right here, baby. This episode is brought to you by Heineken.
I'm used to the LA guys that don't drink, and everyone else is drinking around them, and they're offering booze, and Madison and the James brothers do not drink, and they're like sober for 9 years, and the people want to reward them with, oh, thank you for getting me a deal on my house. Here's a beer. And then they're like, well, actually, I don't drink. I've been sober for 9 years.
I'm on the wagon.
The wagon is everybody drinking. Everyone's on the wagon drinking. And you know.
No. Isn't it when you get too drunk and you fall off the wagon?
I don't know, man.
Sorry, we're going to get sued as fuck for that.
Oh, the people who invented that are long gone. That's 1800 shit.
That's a Seinfeld joke.
Is it really?
It is.
Is it really?
It is.
Okay, we're arguing a Seinfeld joke.
Like we're redoing it.
Larry David's gonna call. I heard you talk about the wagon. That's obviously my joke. I wrote it in 1993. That's my Larry David.
And then I'm gonna look into the camera.
Oh no. Mocha Joe, could you hook me up? Well, I don't know, Larry. You kind of offended me the other
That's
day.
right, Larry David.
I can't remember why. Luis doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, he wants to be dramatic and emotional, and he's got some pent-up emotion, but he's not really being clear to people why he's upset. He gets right to the point. He says most of the sentence. You get the verb, you get the predicate, and then he's about to say the noun, and he just drops off. He's like, I was going to go to the... And then Frederick and Ryan are sitting there like, say the word. We don't know what you're crying about, bro. We warned you. We said this is crazy. I thought there was a fish tank behind him earlier. It's just
what is it?
Just a poster.
It is just a picture of a sea.
That could be an aquarium. Because some aquariums, don't they come out a little bit?
3D Bro, that aquarium? Is clearly a picture. That's like very clearly a picture.
What did you put in my drink?
Nothing.
So if you followed social media in the winter or spring, all the women were commenting on Ryan Serhant's pictures and everything. Ryan, get rid of the beard, get rid of the beard. And people were wondering, even the guys were like, what are you doing with that thing? You don't look like a realtor. You kind of look unprofessional.
Beards aren't unprofessional.
And people were wondering if there'd be a holiday or if there'd be some event for him to remove the beard. Because we met him and we were familiar with him the first 4 seasons as a clean-shaven dude.
Right.
And he's off like Days of Our Lives or something. He was a character on a soap opera for a bit. Then finally, like we all go on social media and we see all the whining and the crying, and the commentary to that is he shaved his beard. People are like, what? Where's the picture? Where's the picture? And of all the holidays, he chose
Yom Kippur
to shave close. He picked Father's Day to shave his beard off.
All right. Father's Day is supposed to be the day of celebrating beards.
Maybe, yeah.
The day all dads and all their dad beards unite
and cling together.
Yes, right. To celebrate fatherhood and beardhood.
Beardhood.
He doesn't look unprofessional to me. I don't see anything unprofessional about a beard, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I know no president of the United States has ever had a beard.
Grizzly Adams had a beard.
Grizzly Adams.
Did
the
have a
32nd president of the United States.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
I don't know who Grizzly Adams is.
That's from Happy Gilmore.
Okay. Kings used to have beards, no problem.
Shooter McGavin said that. He's like, yeah, the ball falls over there. And Shooter McGavin's like, oh yeah? And Grizzly Adams had a beer. Siggy free. Oh, the pastor.
You were going to tell me something about it.
Well, I just wanted to say that in the episode that kind of opened up the season, Frederick was talking about new beginnings, and it was fall. But Frederick was saying, leaves are falling, things are changing, and so am I. And he was in Connecticut, and he met this pastor, and he's talking about how he was going to church, and it was changing him. I guess she didn't fully know what he was talking about, but he was talking about making a baby and a surrogate mother for his homosexual friend. And I think as a pastor, as far as finances are concerned, she was more than happy to accept funds coming in from him, even though he's going to burn in hell for eternity for engaging in homosexual acts.
Got it. Sorry I asked.
But he bought a house next to the church in Connecticut. And they showed it on there. He was in church and he's like, I'm here. And then they had a change in the music. You know how a DJ goes, "Arr!" They had a church. He was like, I'm here to do good things for people. And then the DJ went, "Arr!" And he's like, well, actually, I've got alternative motives.
Oh.
And we're like, oh. And I was watching like, oh, what do you have? And it turned out to be kind of nothing. Looking to hang out in Connecticut.
There you go.
Learn new things. Now, what should have happened in this scene is they should have rehearsed their lines a little bit better because it wasn't smooth. It didn't look good. It was weird how Frederick led on that they were going to go have lunch together. That isn't something you just start a conversation about. Like, oh, I guess you're going to go have lunch with my developer. No, that's not how it works. But Steve Gold was a good...
sport.
This was Steve Gold's first season. I'm used to Louise and Frederick and Ryan, and their verbal altercations were interesting, and their physical altercations on the rooftop and all around New York were interesting. They were physical with each other. I'll just put it that way.
Alright.
We're going to catch up on the season.
Yeah.
This fall, I want to catch up on $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. They're on their 10th season.
10 seasons.
I sounded like Oprah.
That's right. You get a new season. You get a new season. You get a contract extension. Everybody in his hole getting paid.
You get twins in the surrogate.
You get eternal damnation. I'm sorry.
Ooh, that's what the pastor could have said. She's really quiet for a pastor because, you know, when everyone comes into the church to hear the spiel, she's got to be the one that drives everything home. So it'll be kind of cool to see her take the reins. I think Mo and I will go to a service next time we get a chance.
Wow. Yeah, sure. Yo, you know, I got community service for speeding tickets last year, and I was nice enough to be offered. It was only like 10 hours of community service, but anyways, I applied for it at this church in my old town, and it was the first time that I'd ever been in a Catholic church, and it was like, yo, it was like, seriously, man, they spared no expense to make them look as old as possible. Like, these things, they have not changed their designs since Catholicism was invented. Like, high ceilings, wide areas, it's kind of surreal.
Is this the volunteering we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, so it was like the first time that I had ever been inside a Catholic church, and now you're like suggesting that I'm gonna go to a service. So it's all moving so fast, man. Me and organized religion are like not on the same page.
Damn, we are learning things.
Yep. This is why you should know someone for much longer before agreeing to podcast with them. In reality, we actually want to be karaoke stars, but we're just gonna stick to podcasts.
This was a great season. I just got to say, $1.2 billion in sales. That's cool.
0.2 billies.
Yeah. You can look that up, too. That's what I like about the show, too. You can kind of look it up and see what's going on. Because I looked up top real estate agents in New York, and sure enough, these jokers came up. So it was kind of, they started out with the best, and that's what we see this season, the best real estate brokers really in New York.
That's right, bro. Putting down work, putting down billions of dollars, moving $1 billion. Could you imagine this person is in charge of $1 billion? It's ridiculous.
That's why I have such a respect for Louise, is because he did not come from a wealthy family like Steve did, and even Frederick did, and not sure about Ryan, but the one thing I know is that we did get Louise's backstory in the first few seasons, and he came from humble beginnings, and they showed his childhood home, and he was able to come to New York and fight the odds. And it's really hard. It is hard to get licensed to be a broker. Right. They make that test so freaking difficult, and Louise was able to conquer it, even though English is not his first language, and do what I'm doing now, which is floundering like a fish on the ground. And he was able to get over it, though, and sell some rental properties, sell some average houses, and move up to luxury listings and get some serious success going on.
It's awesome seeing somebody. And did they document that in the show, or do you just find that, or do you just kind of see him on like the other end of it?
They just showed the other end, and they kind of talk about it. And Louise cries a lot. I mean, at first I understood it, but as time went on, it got frustrating to see him cry over every issue. It's like he got a paper cut from a stack of offers that he got on a place, and he would cry about it. And I understand being emotional, but man, there's better ways to deal with things.
Truth than just crying at everything. Oh, yep, he's back. This is next season?
This is Louise. This is a preview of what we're about to see here. It just started episode... I think this is episode 11, actually, here.
Okay.
But we did see a lot, and I did see another side of Steve, and it's hard to discuss it, but I got a lot of respect for Steve because he came from a long way, and what we see is he introduces us to his family, and you can tell he comes from kind of a silver spoon background. And you see how he treats his sister. And he says on the show, he introduces his sister, and he says his sister's been through some challenges. She is challenged in the world. And he says that nobody has inspired him more than his sister.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought that's cool, and I didn't fully understand it. And he explains it, and he just says that his sister's been through hell, been teased her whole life, and treated badly in school, and she conquered it all, and she came out strong, and she does things that most people wouldn't strive to do. And she's reached a level where she's doing things now that surpass the expected capacity of someone in her state. So Frederick brings them all in, herds them into this room, and says, I think you are the most important people because you are the top brokers of the city. And you're going to find me a buyer. To the developer guy, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Frederick? I expected 200 or 300 people here. Frederick's like, well, you just have to wait. You just have to find the right person here. Look at him. He owns a brokerage. He knows some people. You with the glasses. You look like you know some people.
He was basically invited people that owned the companies, and every single person that was at that party had at least 25 people working for them. So it was like having 1,000 people at your party, because every single person that's there is a whole nother 20 to 30 to 40. Who knows how many people they cooperate with. So, smart guy, clearly.
Spot on.
Yeah, knows what he's doing.
So, this surprised me. A few of you may not know, most people might not know, that Lenny Kravitz, not only a rock star, not only a real estate mogul, but he's also... he's a movie?
He was in the Hunger Games.
Oh, he was? I didn't know. I haven't seen that movie. Lenny Kravitz is also an interior designer.
That's right.
So we see what he has, and I can't say it looks different from the stuff I've seen on any other season. It looks pretty typical. Maybe you'd expect Lenny to have a guitar painting or something.
Come on, dude. Why are you going to pigeonhole the guy?
Just because, like, it's got to have a signature mark.
Right. I don't know, like, do you want his chandeliers to be made out of dreads or something?
Ooh, these chandeliers you are looking at, Lenny Kravitz.
Are all made out of, what's Lenny Kravitz's wife's name? Oh my god.
Lenny Kravitz's wife. I think Lenny just had so much money, he just kind of one day said, I need another hobby. How about interior design? And I'll start.
Built a whole building in Manhattan.
Kravitz Design.
Terrible name.
So the homes are generally going for $2,700 a foot, and those are the regular condos. And the penthouse, the best one, is going for $5,000 a square foot. At least what they have it at.
That's the one that we watch Frederick try to sell throughout the entire episode.
Developer came in like a snake. We got Steve Gold. We got his tie customs with that little smirk on his face.
Yeah, right.
He's mentioned twice now that he was a model and he was in modeling. So we got it. We got it, dude.
You used to be a model, bro.
They scheduled a lunch at Riverside and Broadway. He was like, the lunch is going to go down. It's kind of like my Captain Sandy voice.
Oh, God. I enjoyed being in Paris for the large part of this episode.
Yeah, I felt like I was really there,
Yeah, it definitely took us to a bunch of places. Like, they could not switch scenes without showing the victory arc. And it's a pretty thing. Like, yeah, it's humongous and stuff. Do you know anything about that? Do you know anything about the Arc de Triomphe?
I know it looks pretty.
Yeah, it sure does. And that's all we need to know over here at Loungtastic.
So we see a scene with Ryan here, and he's doing some showings. And people are checking it out, and they're liking it, and finally some interest is starting to happen. He's got this listing that he started only because he wanted a lower-end listing just to kind of see if he could do an easier task during this time where he's having this mental health crisis that he referred to in the last episode. And his therapist said, why don't you do something a little bit smaller? So he's like, okay, I'm just going to do like $1 million listing. I do that when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, something not too big, not too shabby.
So he comes up with a problem here where this Dr. Drupinski looking guy, his client, is basically saying, now listen, I got some therapy of my own here. Because Ryan kind of reaches out. He's kind of like, I went to the bingo hall. I talked to the people there.
I went to the bingo hall.
I was looking for somebody that might be interested in some older style. Like older style. Like that place was pretty dated, and his listing was pretty dated. And actually, this Drew Pinsky guy has some advice. And he just says, "Let me tell you something about risk." Because Ryan's like, "I don't know if I want to take the risk." And Dr. Drew is like, "Let me tell you something. Risk is one of the best things you could take."
That's right. Risks are kind of fulfilling.
They can be. And you can't, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I take that advice. And Ryan is going in now and he's talking to this potential buyer on the phone. And they've lowballed an offer already. And so Ryan comes back and he's talking about, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. And Dr. Drew says, try it again. Go back out there, try it again. And Ryan's like, all right, pull out all the stops. This is it. I'm putting everything into this. The guy's like, listen, motherfucker, this is our last offer. You can take it or leave it. It's Sirhan time now. If you're going to lose this listing over a couple $100, I'll never do a deal with you ever again.
I don't cry when I'm mad. I didn't cry because I was mad at Steve. I don't cry when I'm mad. I don't do that. But he never says what he was crying about.
Ryan just cuts loose, and he's like, you know what? Go for broke. I'm just going to let him have it. I'm going to lay into him. My personal experience, I was going back and forth on a deal one time. Gentleman on the other end was the buyer's representative. Snake-like. Very edgy. Could have been a lot smoother. We could have had a lot of a smoother transition. It didn't have to be as sharky as it ended up being. Remember, we're going back and forth on a price. We're trying to get in the middle. then he just decided that he would give me a low ball, super low, and that wasn't going to work for me. So I said, listen, you got to come back with something strong. And I remember I got to plant my feet in the ground, and I can't take a low ball. These are my clients. I have to do right by them. Let the days pass. Day 1, no call. Day 2, no call. 3, 4, 5, no call. Day 6, I remember, what am I going to do here? Am I going to call him? Is he going to call me? Just wait. Why don't we let it happen for 1 week? But I do remember on day 6, my phone lit up, and it was from him. And their offer was client was willing to accept for their house. And I remember thinking, I have bridged the gap between our 2 prices that we had on there. Going to be my first deal. I contacted the sellers and said, hey, we got a deal here. We accepted their offer, got all the stuff done online, and it was a wonderful feeling. The last job I had, I was a lifeguard. I sat next to a pool and I watched people try not to drown. Here I am negotiating a deal for a $250,000 house. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is something I could do for life.
I like that.
He likes that. Apparently Eddie Griffin is in here.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched anything with Eddie Griffith in so long.
Eddie Griffin.
Yeah, the dude from Undercover Brother.
Oh, yeah. Griffin, not Griffith. That's Andy Griffith.
That's right. That was the day you were like, I like, this is something, this feeling is it's taking me.
Yeah. Against all odds. Been spending all my life living in So Frederick is interviewing these brokers, and
he's at 2 places at the same time, and he makes 3 sales at the same exact time. Makes 3 sales at the same time.
That's just how damn good he is.
Right. If he wasn't already impressive enough, he makes 3 sales. He's at 2 separate places, 3 separate sales, same time.
Even though this is technically a reality show, there is a lot of life experiences I've had that parallel what you see on here. I mean, it doesn't matter if 90% of it is real and then 10% is made up. It's still a pretty accurate description of the dramatics between people and situations.
And sellers and stuff?
Yeah, buyers and sellers, the drama. One of the last things I did is I heard about a broker tour / open house. And I guess I got there a little bit later, and I was there for the open house, and the agent, I'm not using any names, but I'll just tell you the story, is the agent had a guaranteed prize when you came in there, and they said it was a Visa gift card, like a $50 Visa gift card for showing up to this house. And I remember I showed up, and I hit the buzzer, and I was, She said, okay, I'll let you in. And then I guess she had looked out and she saw that I was a realtor, and she was interested in just plain people who are interested in looking around. And she said, I'll buzz you in. Of course, I stood there for like 5-10 minutes waiting to be buzzed in. She just kind of dropped out on me.
Whoa.
I didn't bring it up with our office, but that was kind of messed up. And I understand backstabby things maybe between like car dealers and stuff, but give me the respect to at least go in and look around.
Yeah, right on. That's catty.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny, bro. I don't want to talk about how little life experience I have, but I cannot relate to like being done up like that, because holy crap, dude.
I asked her later in the office, because we're in the same office, like what happened. And she says, I couldn't come out because I was with a client. I'm like, you could have just buzzed me in, even if you were with a client.
What was the end of that?
I just went home. I mean, it was a broker tour / open house, and I had expectations to check this place out, because the more places I go to, the more things I can describe when people call in on our floor time, because we pick floor time equally in our office. And if people call in and say, do you have any 3 or 4 bedroom houses in Downers Grove, I could say, yesterday I was in 2 of them that match what you're looking for. Or last week I went to 6 condos that might be of interest to you on Ogden Avenue.
Yeah, kind of putting you at a disadvantage, which is unfair, but that's the selling world, I suppose. You know, that's the selling world. I was a salesman for like a very, very short time before I like considered that it wasn't for me, because I can't do anybody in a way that makes me feel some type of way. Like if I know that I'm doing something to advantage myself, but in a way I know that it's not gonna make the opposite party feel, I'd feel so bad about it. I feel torn up and stuff like that. I have some growing up to do as far as
You'll get there.
Yeah. Eventually the world will beat me down and I won't care about giving people the finger.
Yeah, you're kind of like Louise then, because Louise had to find his groove.
Right.
This is kind of like the Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, I'm a llama right now.
You're a llama.
I need to find my groove back. What movie is that? Someone gets her groove back? B?
Emperor's New Groove.
No, man.
How Stella got her groove back.
All right, thank you. It's just impossible for me to make references since all I know is, like, titles.
Yeah, well, on our first few podcasts so far, you've made a lot of references, and I'm like, I kind of know what you're talking about, but not specifically. Enough to kind of be around what you're saying, but it's cool. We'll have to check in on references before we start the podcast.
That's right. We have to do 2 podcasts. The first one is the one with all the references, and then the second one is when we know that the references are on point.
You remember that English movie with the young chap? Oh, yes, Mary Poppins. And somehow we like can read each other's mind.
Yeah, that's eventually. That's what'll eventually happen. Right now, we're just trying to make references.
You know, I apologize. We're going for quality over quantity, but we'll change it up a little bit here. Stick with us, and we'll get some interesting stuff going on.
The guy listening to this, he's like, well, I'm getting neither.
Well, that concludes podcast number 4. Remember, we're on iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twatter, High Five,
Tagger,
YouTube,
Vimeo, Dailymotion,
Spankwire,
Mr. Skin. I was naked in an Angelina Jolie movie once. Actually, if you guys look me up.
Pogo,
Yeet.
Skeet.
Nothing we're saying makes sense anymore.
Tag me on Twitter. Find me on Facebook.
Bro, please find me on Twitter. I might have to make a new Twitter just so you guys aren't completely turned off to me after you find my Twitter.
He's a porn star in the late 80s. We really love the support and love our fans give us. If you have a minute, check us out on iTunes and leave a review. And if you don't want to do that, maybe next time you're talking to your friends about a similar subject, you could mention that you had fun tuning into the Loungtastic podcast, and we could get a fun interactive community going on. Spreading the word really helps us grow, and it means the world to us. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. At Instagram, we're at Loungtastic. On Twitter, we're at Loungtastic.
If you have a minute, check us out on iTunes, leave us a review. And if you don't want to do that, maybe next time you're talking to your friends about similar subjects, you can mention that you have fun tuning in Loungtastic podcast, and we can get a fun interactive community going on. Really, thank you guys so much. We appreciate the support. And if you don't want to do any of those things, it's okay. We're really happy you're listening. Thank you.